Penguin Random House Audio presents Idlewild, a novel, by James Frankie Thomas. Read for you by Kristen Dimercurio. Oh, is it all forgot? All school days friendship, childhood innocence? We, Hermia, like two artificial gods, have with our needles created both one flower, both on one sampler, sitting on one cushion, both warbling of one song, both in one key, as if our hands, our sides, voices and minds had been incorporate. A Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 3, Scene 2, lines 204 to 211. We're an empire now, and when we act, we create our own reality. Attributed to Karl Rove. Part 1. FNN, 2002. Somehow, a year has gone by. Idlewild is a Quaker school, which means it values consensus, which means there was an upper school meeting yesterday to discuss what to do about today. Should it be a designated day of sadness, or would that be letting the terrorists win? Our class resolved that the best way to honor the anniversary would be to cancel school and stay home. Our class was then informed that this was not a legitimate option. In Quaker tradition, the meeting ended with a half-assed compromise. Today will be a normal school day in every way, except that the morning meeting for announcements will be replaced by a special meeting devoted to somber contemplation of the anniversary. That meeting starts in 5 minutes, which is why we, the FNN unit, are standing in the Peace Garden outside the side door of the Meetinghouse, furiously filleting the green plastic straws of our caramel frappuccinos as we review the rules of Guess Who's Gay. F. Walk me through the math one more time. The two of us have a neat division of labor. N is good at numbers and homework, while F is good at having big tits and being the boss. Both of us are good at musical theater, reading each other's minds, staying up till 5 in the morning reading slash fic on the internet, and Socratic dialogue. Viz. N. Okay, so, percentage-wise, how many people in the world are gay? F. 10%? Supposedly, though, if you adjust for the closet, it's probably more like, 100? N. Sure, but for our purposes, 1 out of every 10 people is gay. F. Socratic. Yes, quite so. N. And how many people are there in the senior class? F. Like 2? N. Timeout, I'm non-Socratically asking. What are we down to now? 50-ish? 55 of us began our freshman year here in the fall of 1999, but since then, our numbers have dwindled. Last year alone saw 3 casualties. 1. Andy Edelson moved away because his whole family freaked out and fled to the suburbs after the event that today is the 1-year anniversary of. 2. Samantha Kerrigan transferred to Simon's Rock, which is a euphemism for flunked out but has very rich parents. 3. Jacob Teifer got busted with weed and had to go before StuDisc, i.e. the Student Disciplinary Committee, i.e. the NARC Club, which reached consensus that he should be expelled. F. 48, I think? N. We'll round up to 50, so if there are roughly 50 kids per grade, which is roughly 200 kids in the upper school, and 1 out of every 10 people is gay, then... F. You like to fuck boys. In the ass. N. What? F. Because you're Socrates. Know thyself, homo. The point, though, is that there must, mathematically speaking, be 20 gay Idlewilders among us. We, the FNN unit, count ourselves as one single gay unit, which leaves us with 19 probable homosexuals in the upper school. Most likely dudes, statistically speaking, and most definitely cowards, objectively speaking, since they have not yet revealed themselves to us. Having thus reached the limits of science, we must identify them using magic, which we perform twice a week at Meeting for Worship. Meeting for Worship, which happens every Tuesday and Friday morning, is when the entire upper school gathers in the Meetinghouse and sits for 20 minutes in silence. You're allowed, if the Holy Spirit moves you, to stand up at any point and speak spontaneously in front of the whole school on any topic you wish. When you've finished speaking, you sit back down and silence resumes. People who don't attend Quaker schools often remark, upon learning about meeting for worship, that speaking during silence sounds like a terrifying prospect. They are correct, which is why, in practice, most meetings for worship consist of 20 minutes of unbroken silence. When someone stands up to speak, it's like bumping into Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman at the video store on West 22nd Street. You have to play it cool, but there's no denying it's the most interesting thing that will happen all day. At some point last year, we, the F&N unit, decreed in secret that speaking during silence turned you gay. The decision was arbitrary, but binding. Regardless of what you say, whether you're describing a poignant cartoon you saw in The New Yorker, mourning the late Shel Silverstein, or pondering the true meaning of Passover, if you speak, you're automatically gay for the day. Congratulations! Your sexual orientation resets at 3:15 p.m. But because today is a Wednesday, and this is a special meeting for worship devoted to somber contemplation of the anniversary, the rules require some circumstantial addenda. 1. The first person to cry is gay. 2. The first person to laugh inappropriately is so gay that he or she will be counted as two gay people. 3. If a Quaker standoff occurs, that is, if two people accidentally stand up and begin to speak simultaneously, then those two people are gay for each other. 4. Telling the story of how you personally experienced the events of this day last year, as if it were an interesting anecdote belonging to you and you alone, as if we all weren't fucking there, disqualifies you from ever being gay again in any future game of Guess Who's Gay. 5. To raise the stakes, if we get a crier within the first 10 minutes, F is entitled to one triangular half of the peanut butter sandwich in N's backpack. N. But I'll give it to you either way. F. Funny, that's what your mom said to me last night. It's time to go in. We have to throw away our frappuccinos because no food or drink is allowed in the house of God. There's no trash can in the Peace Garden. There's not much of anything in the Peace Garden, which is really just a walled courtyard. It's outside, but direct sunlight is blocked by the 4-story school building, so the only plant life is a dense, dark green bed of ivy where the brick walls meet the ground. A mural decorates the walls. It was painted by lower schoolers, and you can tell. It's a nightmare orgy of rainbow daisies, wonky-eyed doves, and, taking up one whole wall, stick-figure children holding hands in a chain around a not-to-scale planet Earth. We toss our sticky frappuccino cups onto the concrete and kick them into the ivy. The cups vanish under the rambling tangle of vines. We enter the Meetinghouse through the gray-painted side door. On the inside, the Meetinghouse looks like an old-fashioned church, but gray all over, from carpeted floor to high vaulted ceiling. Upper schoolers, backpacked and baseball-capped and still blurry with sleep, spill in through the Peace Garden side entrance and the East 15th Street front entrance. They trudge, rumbling through the aisles and shuffle onto gray-painted benches. The benches, whose wood is smoothed out by 200 years' worth of Quaker butts, are arranged in a square of rows. The senior benches face the freshman benches. The sophomore benches face the junior benches, and teachers scatter themselves non-hierarchically among them. Skip and Trudy, he's the principal of Idlewild, she's the head of the upper school, always sit with the freshmen, directly facing the seniors. That means that we, the F&N unit, spend every morning meeting in their line of vision. But Skip and Trudy don't scare us. You can't really get in trouble at Idlewild, except by peer consensus. We, the F&N unit, claim our favorite spot in the back row. Last year, our favorite spot was on the radiator by the big window that looks out on East 15th Street. It's weird to see two unfamiliar juniors occupying it today. They look too young to be juniors. The freshmen look too young to be sentient beings. N. Were we ever so young? F. Norma Desmond voice. We are big. It's the freshmen that got small. Silence falls. No one ever calls for silence. It simply comes over us, like a cloud. It starts out thin, but within the first couple of minutes it thickens. It holds us. The air is warm from the sunlight streaming through the big window.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?